It absolutely is because they are putting stuff in their body that is not normal, right? And your body doesn't know what's going on. So for every action, there is a reaction. Simon the Board A-hole here. Thank you for joining me as always. And the king of bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though it's been years and years now, he remains in that top position, has done an interview with The Insider where he chatted about some very important things. And when I was reading them, I was like, man, I would like to talk about these kind of things. And that's when my brain remembered, you've got a YouTube channel, you absolute dork. Put them together. They're broken up into a couple of articles, and make sure you go check out Insider because they've got a few more, but these are the ones I wanted to focus on. Starting with Arnold Schwarzenegger, 74, works out for 1 hours every day. Here's the bodybuilding legend's current training regime, which is always interesting. And we're just going to go through it bit by bit because 6 decades after Arnold first started bodybuilding, he still works out every single day. The bodybuilding legend, actor, and former politician who turns 75 in 3 days' time as I am recording this video, which is one of those moments where you kind of look a little bit internal and you're like, life is terrifying. Where the hell did that go? Works out for up to 1.5 hours daily, cycling for 45 to 60 minutes, and lifting weights for 30 minutes. So that's now very interesting. Now, of course, he is over 70 years old, as we just discussed. He would be defined as an old age pensioner. But he is being very, very smart, right? You train for your current predicament and you train for your surroundings. So if your left arm hurts a little bit, but you still want to go to the gym, don't train your left arm. If you are finding that you can only, load your body with so much weight, that's what you do. Don't try and beat life. We just talked about how crazy it is. It's not worth it. And working out is as much a part of his daily routine as eating and sleeping, and always has been, he said. Now I work out to maintain as much as I can as I get older, he told Insider from Toronto, Canada, while drinking the Austrian spirit schnapps. It's good to know. Maintaining muscle is a lot easier than building it in the first place. Personal trainer Luke Worthington previously told Insider, we don't need to worry about that. But this is very, very true. And of course, your muscle mass is going to decrease when you get older because without wanting to be too morbid, you're dying. You're not going to be operating at the level that you probably once were. It's just true. It's half an hour of maintenance training every day, Schwarzenegger said, but the important thing is that I've always done it regularly. And there is something in that too. You can build your base, which I suppose ties back into the maintenance thing, which is why my personal advice, not that you have to take it, is it makes a lot of sense to do compounds when you do start getting into the gym and you feel confident to do so. Deadlifts, bench press, squats, shoulder presses, something like that. Not really a compound, but kind of is. Because then if you can build your base in that areas, eventually you can stop doing those movements, but you'll still have the foundations to be able to work away at. Similar kind of thing here. Now, when it gets really funny is we go back to the past, and Schwarzenegger used to work out for 5 hours a day. He began lifting weights as a teenager in his native Austria, and in 1970, at the age of 20, he became the youngest ever winner of the Mr. Olympia, considered to be the most prodigious bodybuilding competition in his first contest, and then went on to smash it, as we know. And I do not believe he trained for 5 hours a day. What was he doing? What was he doing? After you get to around about 2 hours, unless you then go and do some cardio, it's like, don't really have much else to do. I've done every single possible thing I can do in the gym. Now, maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe he just told that story so many times, it's in his brain. But let's not even worry about that. You do not need to train for 5 hours a day. Depending on what your routine is and depending on what you're trying to achieve, you could train 1 hour a day. You could train 90 minutes a day. I really don't think you need to do more than 2 hours, unless, of course, you're doing weightlifting and cardio and you're training for something very super specific. But I can get most of what I need to do done in the gym 1.5 to 2 hours. Okay, so a lot of Hollywood actors say this too. Oh, I had to train for so long in the gym. Well, it's pointless. And eventually it's going to be counterproductive anyway. You don't need to do it. Continue on your training pattern and don't get brought in by it. Even though Schwarzenegger is still very active by most people's standards, his current regime isn't a patch on what he used to do. Because, he used to do 5 hours a day. And over the years, the amount of time gradually decreased, he says. And Schwarzenegger would adapt his training depending on his goal for acting. Because, of course, as he says here in Stay Hungry, one of his first in 1976, he was asked to lose 30 pounds. And I really like this kind of sentiment. He said a great thing about bodybuilding and weight training is that you can really tailor it to sculpt your body no matter what the need is. So that's a great way to look at it. Some people don't want to lose size, and I guess most people aren't going to have to worry about something as specific as that. But remember, it is goal orientated. So if you want to put on 10 pounds and you put the 10 pounds on, you've done it. If you want to lose 10 pounds and you lose 10 pounds, you've done it. It's all bodybuilding, it's all weight training, it's all aesthetics, and it's totally going to be dependent on what you're trying to do at that current stage. I think sometimes, especially us gym bros, can get into a habit of, I need to be as ripped as possible, which is great. And if that is your long goal throughout the year, that makes sense. But always be ready to be flexible, because life means you have to be flexible because it's always going to kick your ass. And when he was cast in the role in the 1982 film Conan the Barbarian, and he just won Mr. Olympia, John Milius wanted him to look a bit more round, a little less cut. So he wanted him to bulk. Basically, that would never happen now. Now they'd be like, you've got to be sub 7% body fat or you're not even allowed on stage. And his physique looked too much like that of a competitive bodybuilder, not an average person. Conan the Barbarian isn't an average person. That's stupid. And then he goes on to say that he thinks fitness is like a game of chess because there are so many moves you have to make. Again, this is why you should watch Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff. He comes out with all these cool things. And he says there are millions of moves that you can make, millions of exercises, millions of training principles, just like with food, supplements, and nutrition. And he talks about the supplement company that he found, which I believe is like a vegan thing or something. I don't know. But I wanted to touch on that just because 5 hours a day. Don't train in the gym for 5 hours a day. But it is the second, go away, thank you, is the second story that's much more interesting. Arnold Schwarzenegger says some bodybuilders are so obsessed with being as big as possible, it's killing them, right? I'm not going to say it's quite a controversial statement to make, because I think it's a very apt statement to make, but of course there is controversy within what he is trying to say. And it says right here, some elite bodybuilders have taken the sport too far and are so obsessed with their side it's killing them, Arnold Schwarzenegger told insiders. Lifting weights is positive for the vast majority of people, but some competitors take it to the extreme and are only interested in size. And of course, they then tie this into bigorexia or muscle dysmorphia, which we talked about a video on Monday. It's something that a lot of us have. It's something that a lot of us use to motivate ourselves in the gym. So always remember that. Before we get into it, though, they have taken it, in my opinion, too far. It's gotten too competitive. They're going to take more and more stuff they're not supposed to, and sometimes it kills people. Now, you never want anyone to die, ever. Of course you don't. It's terrible and it's horrific. And it's not just the fact that somebody has passed away. Think of their friends, think of their family, think of their kids. You know, the news cycle comes and goes, and we'll soon forget about it because that's just how the world works. But these people, their lives are changed forever. And you always have to have the empathy and you always have to have the sympathy for that. But the worst part was back when I was growing up and you didn't get, I mean, you got a few deaths, but you did not get as many as you get now. And there became this idea that, oh, no, you can just take whatever you want. It's not the steroids. It's not this. It's not that. They just had dodgy hearts to begin with. And what you basically do is you create you do mental gymnastics where you tell yourself, because it's making you feel good and it's making you look great, that you are able to take this stuff and whatever health problems you're experiencing have nothing to do with the drugs. And honestly, that's the rhetoric that used to be told when I was a lot younger. Whereas now, obviously, you still get that a little bit because guys are taking more and more stuff as more and more stuff is released. You know, it's still a science, I suppose, or it's a science-based endeavor, so there are people working on this stuff. But here's Arnold Schwarzenegger, the greatest bodybuilder ever, saying they're taking it too far and they're taking more and more stuff. And then you get that kind of catch-up effect. Because if you've got John and Joe, and John finds a new drug and starts taking it, and then he starts winning competitions, well, Joe is going to be like, well, I better do it too. I suppose it's like the Lance Armstrong stuff in cycling. I know we all look at Lance Armstrong for all the, well, just the right word, I suppose, cheating he did, but everyone was doing it. He was just the poster boy of it. And he goes on to say, a string of deaths in the bodybuilding community in recent years led Schwarzenegger to describe it as the most dangerous in the world last year. Well, I missed that one. The more extreme it gets and the more competitive the top athletes get, the more they are lifting weights that the body was not meant for. And it is, I mean, it absolutely is, because they are putting stuff in their body that is not normal, right? And your body doesn't know what's going on. So for every action, there is a reaction, which is why if you go on the internet, a lot of people these days say, just stick with testosterone. Because if you get like normal testosterone and it's not some, weird synthetic version somebody has made up, your body understands what testosterone is, but it doesn't have a flipping clue what the other stuff is. You know what I'm trying to say here. And Insider go on to say the use of performance enhancing drugs and steroids is common in elite bodybuilding, but these can lead to various long-term health risks such as testicular atrophy. I love how that's first. Your balls are going to shrink, infertility and heart attacks, according to research. All true. And it's going to affect certain people more than others. Sometimes they're taking drugs that are damaging for their health and they're making them so strong the tendons and bones were not meant for that weight. So then it gets into a really dangerous situation. It's true, like you're putting too much load on your body. That's just what's happening. And someone else talking about bigorexia, etc. I mean, bigorexia, if you don't know, I'm sure you figured it out, is just when you're massive and you don't see it. And therefore you have a mental health issue, really, where you then look to other means in order to keep getting bigger and bigger, even though you're absolutely tonk. I mean, it happens, right? It's like anorexia, it's bigorexia. All these things are affecting people and they should be respected. Schwarzenegger says bodybuilding is no more dangerous than lots of other sports when it comes to the extreme elite level. And he talks about skiing. When you talk about skiing, there's the people that ski on their slopes in the powder, in the moguls, and have a great time. So these are the recreational skiers. It's a lot of fun for those guys. But competitive skiing racing has gotten more dangerous and has sometimes been fatal. And it's the same with bodybuilding. And I suppose that's what happened to, well, actually, that's what happened to Michael Schumacher, but he wasn't competitive. I do believe he was on quite an aggressive course, but he wasn't wearing a helmet. That doesn't tie it at all. Just the first thing I thought of. Schwarzenegger believes bodybuilding is genuinely positive, but do not take it to the extremes. The benefits have been tremendous worldwide. When performing safely, lifting weights has many positive effects, blah, blah, blah. And Schwarzenegger believes bodybuilding has been one of the hugest benefits of human development and physical development in the last 50 years. He cites the vast number of gyms that have opened his lifetime. You know what? He makes a good point. There's a gym in every hotel, every YMCA, every sports club, every university, every college, every high school, every police station, every fire station, every military police. I mean, everywhere, he said. It has changed so much. And that is true. Do not forget, he brought bodybuilding to the mainstream. You can go look it up on Google. So when he talks, we should absolutely listen. And I do totally agree with him, especially given my current audience, not really like a hardcore bodybuilding audience, but especially if you are a younger dude and you are thinking about doing steroids at sort of like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. At 35, you want to go on TRT, I think it probably makes sense, right? That's kind of the way I see it. But I always say this, and I know I run it into the ground, but I think it's important to re-mention it all the time. You're going to do whatever you want to do, right? When people make their decisions about this stuff, it's rare somebody can talk them out of them. So just be smart with it. And if your body starts telling you something is wrong, think of it obviously. It's the drugs you're putting into your system. It just is. It's not anything else. It's not that you did too much coffee or that you didn't get sleep that night. It's your body reacting poorly to the stuff you're putting in it, and you don't want to look dead in a box. Another one of my catchphrases, which I don't even want to be a catchphrase. Now, I guess I'm talking from a little bit of a hypocritical point of view because I don't know anyone that's died from doing this. However, when you see these very, very notable and very, very famous bodybuilders dropping down because they have just overloaded their systems, I worry that people who aren't as genetically gifted are going to do the same because, of course, they're not going to be able to take as many chemicals in their system as the super duper big guys. Arnold Schwarzenegger knows what he's talking about. He did it all as well. Again, his steroid cycle is out there if you want to read through it. So he understands the pros and he understands the cons. And I just want you to be safe. That's my major thing. I think you're allowed to run around and do whatever you want. But health and fitness, the most important word in that is health. Okay? So make sure you take care of yourself. Remember, your heart is a very, very sensitive muscle, sensitive organ, and it needs as much support as you possibly can give it. And don't forget that bodybuilding and lifting weights is meant to be positive. And if somehow you do fall off the wagon, it happens. Try and get back on with it and just try and remember it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 240 and 4% body fat. Even if you're meant to be a bodybuilder, it actually doesn't matter because nothing more important than making sure you're feeling okay. That's about it. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Hit the bell, ding, ding. So you know other videos are going live. There will be a video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, drop me a comment below. Maybe you think I'm full of it. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, grillofmine.com/Simon. Just go to Simon and get 10% off all their supplements. I mean, Greg Doucette's Power 13 cookbook back on Cameo. Reactivated today after a lot of people asked, which was very nice. Patreon.com/Simon316 if you want to support that way and get exclusive reaction videos. Otherwise, that's Simon3. No, we've done that one. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com for merchandise. That's it. Don't care about any of that today. Please be safe. It means a lot to me. Goodbye.